Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. I'm Brendan Paul and this is Updates at Noon. Our headlines this afternoon. MSPO certification scheme constantly evolving, improving and revised. And also millions needed to clean illegal dumping sites. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Fadilah Yusof said the Malaysian Sustainable Palm Oil MSPO certification scheme introduced in 2013 is constantly evolving and improving. For instance, major revisions were introduced last year with more stringent standards, including a deforestation cut-off date of 31st December 2019, which meets the European Union's EU deforestation regulation cut-off date. More revisions were made to the identification of greenhouse gas emissions, GHG, and monitoring plans for its reduction, the introduction of new guidance on free, prior and informed consent, FPIC, and the safeguarding of human rights defenders and whistleblowers.
We reiterate that Malaysia palm oil is sustainable. The Malaysian Sustainable Palm Oil, or MSPO, already guarantees Malaysia's commitment to sustainability and continues to provide sustainable and deforestation-free palm oil to our European and global customers.
The Deputy Prime Minister said this at the working luncheon and dialogue session with EU Chief Executive Officers of palm oil industries and representatives. Datuk Seri Fadilah said the Malaysian government is also fully committed to the key policies relating to sustainable palm oil. For the record, Malaysia announced the net zero GHG emission target earliest by 2050 at the United Nations Climate Change Conference in Glasgow, COP26. Malaysia had also committed to maintaining at least 50% forest cover as pledged during the Rio Earth Summit in 1992. Currently, Malaysia's forest cover is at 55.3%. The Negeri Sembilan state government must take the opportunities to expand the agriculture sector and modern livestock farming to invigorate the state's economy and create more jobs for the people. Economy Minister Rafizi Ramli said towards this effort, the federal government is forging cooperation with private sector investors in the two areas. According to Rafizi, the federal and state government are cooperating in the aspects of providing the site and several other assistance.
Yang ini kita banyak import. Import kita saya ingat sampai 80% daging kan. Jadi sebelum ini, dan saya boleh sebut terus kat sini lah kerana kita memang sedang membangunkan dan saya sedang berusaha untuk mendapatkan pelabur daripada luar negara untuk datang dalam sektor peternakan di Negeri Sembilan.
He said this after attending the midterm review of the 12th Malaysia Plan, 12MP, 2021 to 2025 engagement session at the Negeri Sembilan level yesterday. Rafizi in his address also proposed to the state government to explore two other sectors, namely renewable energy and digital sector, to increase the state's economic income. He said Negeri Sembilan has better potential than other states due to its proximity to the Klang Valley. And meanwhile, Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Amiruddin Harun said the state government is committed to its effort to produce entrepreneurs in the high technology agriculture sector in its bid to become a food producer. He said the state government had increased the number of industry players in the modern agriculture sector in the last 6 to 12 months.
Kita nak Negeri Sembilan ini sebagai satu center supaya dalam masa 6 bulan ke setahun ini kita dapat lahirkan pemain ataupun pemain industri dalam bidang pertanian yang menggunakan teknologi. Jadi saya harap bahawa masyarakat Negeri Sembilan dapat mengambil mengambil cabaran ini supaya dapat dilaksanakan dan mereka benar-benar berminat, dan kerajaan negeri pula berperanan menyediakan tapak untuk anak-anak muda ataupun mereka yang berminat dapat melaksanakan aktiviti ini dengan teratur dan berkesan.
Earlier in his speech, Datuk Seri Aminuddin said the state's current development direction is based on the Negeri Sembilan Development Plan 2021 to 2025 (RPNS) and Negeri Sembilan Digital Economy Plan 2023 to 2027 (PEDNS). He said both plans were launched in December 2022 as the development guidelines for the state in line with the 12 MP, as well as the Malaysia Digital Economy Blueprint at the federal level. He added that 2 development plans will become the catalysts for the medium and long-term development plans for Negeri Sembilan, besides becoming the basic planning for the annual budget at the state level, as well as the federal government, so that the objectives of the development plans are fully realised. Malaysia has expressed appreciation to the Saudi government for allowing the country to continue the Makkah route, which started as a pilot program in 2017. Foreign Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Zamri Abdul Kadir said Malaysia was the only country selected by the Saudi government for the implementation of the pilot program 6 years ago, which was then followed by the participation of Pakistan, Indonesia, Morocco and Bangladesh in the following year.
Dan ini merupakan antara pendekatan kreatif yang dibuat oleh pihak kerajaan Saudi bersama dengan Malaysia, dan saya ingin mengambil kesempatan ini untuk mengucapkan terima kasih kepada pihak kerajaan Saudi yang memberikan kepercayaan ini kepada Malaysia antara beberapa buah negara saja, bukan semua negara mendapat keistimewaan ini.
He said this at a media conference after inspecting the special immigration counters for the Makkah route program at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport KLIA last night. Through the program, the Saudi Arabian immigration staff manning the counters at KLIA will check the pilgrims' passports, and when they arrive at Madinah or Jeddah airports, they will no longer have to wait to undergo the immigration and customs process in the country. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia's ambassador to Malaysia, Masad Ibrahim Abdullah Al Sulaim, wished Malaysian pilgrims performing Hajj this year a Mabrur Hajj. At the departure ceremony of the first batch of 284 Hajj pilgrims on 20th May, Tabung Haji, TH Group Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer Syed Hamadah Syed Othman said a total of 31,600 pilgrims, who are the country's official full quota, will depart for the Holy Land to fulfill the 5th pillar of Islam. The first flight was on 21st May, while the last return flight will be on the 1st of August. And over in the south, some 284 congregants from the first and second batch of pilgrimages from Johor departed for the Holy Land of Makkah last night. The first and second flight departed from Senai International Airport at 7:25 p.m. and 10:50 p.m. respectively, heading towards Jeddah International Airport. Prior to the flights, the RTM crew managed to meet the congregants, who mostly were happy and excited for being provided with the opportunity of visiting the Holy Lands of Makkah and Madinah, thus fulfilling the 5th pillar of Islam.
Saya gembira sebab saya dah lama menunggu. Tahun 2019 saya pernah dapat tawaran, tapi saya terpaksa mohon tangguh sebab ada perkara yang tak boleh elakkan lah. Lepas tu saya tahun berikutnya saya dapat, tapi PKP berapa lama, saya memang rindu sangat. Saya memang doa sangat saya nak pergi tahun ni.
Dari segi persiapan kami diberitahu sebulan lebih awal. Jadi alhamdulillah dapatlah kita masa yang panjang. Kita memperkemaskan segala persiapan dari segi material, dari segi pengetahuan kita tentang ibadah haji.
Peribahasa pun ada menyatakan sikit-sikit lama-lama jadi bukit. Pakcik ikut peribahasa itulah. Pakcik kumpul daripada bujang, tak banyak, sikit-sikit simpanan, hinggalah cukup untuk biaya untuk mengerjakan haji ni.
And still to come, MMEA discovers 100 active World War II cannonballs. Stay with us. The bill for cleaning up the illegal dump sites at Twin Palms in Sungai Long and Blackwater Lake in Bandar Mahkota Cheras could reach tens of millions of ringgit. Minister of Natural Resources, Environment and Climate Change, Nick Ahmad said the Twin Palms sites also had a problem of methane gas emission due to the occurrence of burning, which also spread far and wide the stench of garbage and decay tolerated by the residents there. Explaining further, Nick said the Department of Environment is working to complete investigation papers on the two sites, adding that preservation efforts are underway.
Kalau untuk tapak yang ada ni, tapak Blackwater Lake, pemulihan dia ada dua option. Kalau satu nak bersihkan tasik tersebut, yang anggaran yang diberikan ialah sebanyak 42 juta ringgit. Kalau nak dibuat secara dengan menutup tapak sebagai inert waste landfill ialah 18 juta ringgit. Dia ada dua option, cadangan satu atau dua. Ini tentang long term solution lah. Dan untuk tapak pertama tadi yang kita pergi, iaitu tapak Twin Palms, kat sana masalah dia ialah pengeluaran gas metan. Sebelum ini ada berlaku pembakaran. Perkara itu buat masa ini telah selesai, tetapi bau gas metan itu tetap ada. Dia sebahagian daripada masalah perebutan sampah. Jadi kalau nak long term untuk menyelesaikan masalah gas metan itu, dia kena keluarkan gas metan, dan anggaran pembinaan sistem tersebut ialah antara 15 hingga 20 juta ringgit.
Nick said this after inspecting the illegal waste disposal areas together with Deputy Minister of Local Government Development Akmal Nasrullah Muhammad Nasir, Selangor State Exco Hiloy Sian, Director General of the Department of Environment DOE Wan Abdul Latif Wan Jafar, and Member of Parliament for Bangi Shahrezan Johan. Commenting further, Nick said his ministry was examining the options as the cost of restoring the illegal waste disposal sites was very high due to the large-scale damage of the environment. 3 men, including one Rohingyan, were detained in a warehouse suspected of being used as a storage unit of subsidized diesel. Now, during the raid, which was conducted on 29th May, Pahang KBDN enforcement personnel found 3 truck hits, one of which had diesel being extracted into a skid tank. The authorities also found 2 16 litres diesel skid tanks, 1 oil tank trailer and 3 sets of pumps used for oil transfer.
Kalau dulu kita tengok lori-lori diubah suai dengan cara dia mengambil secara runcit di stesen minyak, tetapi sekarang ni dia telah ubah modus operandinya kepada menggunakan kepala lori. Jadi kalau kita lihat, mereka isi dalam tangki yang sebenar. Kalau kita tengok kapasiti untuk lori ini lebih kurang dalam 250 liter. So, kemudian bila penuh, dia datang ke sini dan dituang semula ke dalam skip tank. So, di situ dia secara langsung dia tidak boleh menimbulkan syak wasangka.
As a result of the raid, Pahang KBDN seized all lorries, diesel oil and equipment with a total value of 454,400 ringgit. The suspects are detained to assist with the investigation under the Control of Supplies Act 1961. The Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency, MMEA, has found about 100 World War II cannonballs believed to be still active on a cargo ship from China, which was detained last Sunday. Johor Maritime Director, First Admiral Maritime Nurul Hizam Zakaria, said the discovery resulted from the collaboration between the agency and the police, the Marine Department of Malaysia, as well as the Department of National Heritage. He said the operation, which started at 8 a.m. and ended at 4 p.m. yesterday, involved 2 MMEA assets, together with 15 personnel, 12 police personnel from the Johor Police Contingent Headquarters, Bomb Disposal Unit, 7 staff members of the Department of National Heritage, and 1 from the Marine Department of Malaysia. In a statement, Admiral Hizam said the MMEA does not rule out the possibility that this ship, registered in Fuzhou, China, is involved in the theft of old British warship wrecks in Pahang waters. He said all the ammunition of various sizes that were found were secured by the bomb disposal unit to be destroyed. Admiral Hizam also said further reports related to the discovery will be issued by the police. Previously, Bernama reported that a cargo ship had anchored without authorization and was believed to be carrying cannon shells at 20.1 nautical miles east of Tanjung Siang on Sunday. Other media outlets have also recently reported that a foreign salvage ship was conducting an illegal operation to salvage steel from a British warship that sank in Kuantan waters. And on the foreign front, failed satellite launch prompts siren alerts in South Korea and Japan. Stay with us. A satellite launch conducted by North Korea on Wednesday ended in failure after the rocket's second stage malfunctioned, sending the craft plunging into the sea as the nuclear-armed North seeks to gain ground in a regional space race. The launch was the nuclear-armed State 6 satellite launch attempt and the first since 2016. North Korea had said it would launch its first military reconnaissance satellite between 31st May and 11 June to boost monitoring of U.S. military activities. The launch prompted emergency alerts and brief evacuation warnings in parts of South Korea and Japan, which were then withdrawn with no danger or damage reported. Seoul's Joint Chiefs of Staff said North Korea's projectile disappeared from radar before reaching its expected drop point, while Japanese issued an emergency warning over its J-Alert broadcasting system for residents of the southern prefecture of Okinawa early on Wednesday morning. Matsuno told reporters that the government had lodged a protest with North Korea over the launch, saying it breached UN Security Council resolutions. The United Nations said it is ready to start salvage work on an oil tanker stranded off Yemen's coast with more than 1 million barrels of crude that pose an acute risk to the environment. In an unprecedented salvage plan, the UN has purchased a supertanker to remove the oil from the vessel in the Red Sea, with the actual pumping will start in about 10 days to 2 weeks. The 47-year-old sailor has not been serviced since Yemen's civil war broke out in 2015, and it was left abandoned off the rebel-held port of Hodeidah, a critical gateway for shipments into the country heavily dependent on foreign aid. Experts say the ship is at risk of breaking apart, exploding or catching fire. The sailor's 1.1 million barrels are 4 times as much oil as that which spilled in the 1989 Exxon Valdez disaster off Alaska, one of the world's worst ecological catastrophes. The salvage operation, which will cost an estimated $148 million, has been assigned to a company called Smith Salvage. It will pump the oil from the sailor to the now UN-owned ship called Nautica and then tow away the empty tanker. Fighting flared again in Sudan on Tuesday despite the latest ceasefire pledges on the 2 warring generals meant to allow desperately needed aid to reach besieged civilians. US and Saudi mediators on late Monday announced that the army and paramilitary rapid support forces had agreed to extend the humanitarian truce by 5 days, which have been frequently violated over the past week. Since the extension announcement, residents reported clashes with various kinds of weapons in southern Khartoum and fighting in Nyala, South Darfur state's capital. The mediators admitted the truce had been imperfectly observed, but said the extension will permit further humanitarian efforts. The war has killed more than 1,800 people, according to the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project. More than 1 million have been internally displaced, and nearly 350,000 have escaped to other countries. Residents have been hiding from street combat and roaming looters in the capital city of more than 5 million. Nearly 700,000 of whom have fled. Since battles began on 15 April, both generals have committed to a series of truces, though the United States and Saudi Arabia said this 7-page deal is different because the warring parties signed it and there is a monitoring mechanism. Although some Sudanese have used relative lulls in the fighting to escape, aid has only trickled in. The United Nations warned on Monday that Sudan has become one of the highest alert areas for food insecurity, requiring urgent international action. A shootout on the northern Mexican highway left 10 suspected criminals dead and 4 police officers injured. According to official statement released, police officers managed to kill 10 heavily armed suspected criminals on the Monterrey Nuevo Laredo highway on Monday afternoon after several officers were attacked. The statement added 4 police officers were injured, though all were reported to be in stable condition. The authorities said they seized 12 large-caliber weapons, grenades, 100 pieces of ammunition, as well as 3 armored trucks. The shootout comes as the country struggles with drug cartel violence and a high homicide rate. In the central Mexican state of San Luis Potosi, early on Tuesday, 2 members of the armed forces were killed in an attack by suspected organized crime members. Mexico has counted more than 340,000 killings and some 100,000 disappearances, most attributed to organized criminal gangs, since the launch of the government's controversial anti-drug operation in 2006. And moving on to sports, Pep Guardiola named as Manager of the Year. Stay tuned. Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola has been named Manager of the Year by the League Managers Association. It's the 3rd time Guardiola has collected the Sir Alex Ferguson Trophy, voted for by managers across all of the divisions. Guardiola beats out competition from Mikel Arteta, Roberto Di Zerbi, Eddie Howe, Vincent Kompany and Steven Schumacher to collect the Sir Alex Ferguson Trophy at the League Managers Association Awards ceremony in London. The 52-year-old Spaniard, whose side remained in contention for a treble this season, also scooped the Premier League Manager of the Year accolade for a 4th time after guiding City to a 3rd straight title and 5th in 6 years. Guardiola became only the 3rd manager to win 3 or more LMA Manager of the Year awards, matching David Moyes' tally, but still 2 behind Sir Alex Ferguson. City faced Manchester United in Saturday's FA Cup final. Victory in that match would set up a chance to win the treble when they face Inter Milan in the Champions League final on 10th June. Sevilla will target a record-extending 7th Europa League title in final against an AS Roma side under Jose Mourinho, who has himself won 5 major European trophies, including last year's Conference League with the Italians. Neither Sevilla nor Mourinho have ever lost the European final, with the Spaniards having won all 6 of their Europa League finals, and the Portuguese having last year becoming the first coach to win all the European trophies. Mourinho's haul includes 2 Champions League titles with Inter Milan and Porto, 2 Europa League crowns with Porto and Manchester United, and the inaugural Conference League trophy. However, the Roma manager will have a hard task to steer his team to victory against Europa League thoroughbreds Sevilla. Languishing in the bottom half of La Liga for a large part of a campaign, Sevilla rediscovered their mojo after exiting the Champions League. They have lost only 2 matches since the arrival of manager Jose Luis Mendilibar in mid-March and are in the race for a Conference League place with 1 game left in La Liga. Roma, however, are without a win in 7 consecutive Italian league games and suffered a late collapse to lose 2-1 to Fiorentina on Saturday. ending any hopes Mourinho's side had of a top 4 finish in Serie A. With Sevilla and Roma both having struggled for form in their domestic leagues, they need to win on Wednesday to qualify for the Champions League next season. In the case of Sevilla, who are 11th in La Liga, they could miss out on Europe entirely. And in tennis, Gael Monfils produced a moment of magic in the early moments of Wednesday morning that fans will not soon forget. Now, the French star rallied from 4-love, 30-40 down in the 5th set of his first round of Roland Garros clash with Sebastian Baez to triumph 3-6, 6-3, 7-5, 1-6, 7-5 at 12:18 a.m. local time. The former world number 6 scrambled throughout to deal with Baez and his aggressive forehand, then battled his body deep into the 5th set, in which he struggled to walk in between points due to cramps. Monfils faced 20 break points in the match and appeared out of gas late in the 4th set and early in the 5th. His Argentine is one of those watching will retain for years to come. An earlier Brazilian qualifier, Thiago Seyboth earned the biggest win of his career on Tuesday when he stunned world number 2 Daniil Medvedev in a 5-set thriller at Roland Garros. Seyboth was making his debut in Paris but showed little sign of nerves on court. Philippe Chatrier swinging freely throughout the 4-hour, 15-minute clash to upset the second seed 7-6, 6-7, 2-6, 6-3, 6-4. The world number 172 clubbed 69 winners and recovered from squandering 2-set. Meanwhile, in women's tennis, world number 1 Iga Swiatek launched a French Open title defense on Tuesday by easing past Spain's Cristina Bushka 6-4, 6-love to move into the second round. The Pole, chasing a third French Open title in 4 years, got off to a sluggish start on a windy afternoon on Philippe Chatrier court. She had beaten the Spaniard in under an hour, losing just 1 game at this year's Australian Open, but Swiatek had a less than perfect run-up to Paris, retired in her first 3-service game as a determined Bushka, ranked 70th in the world, mixed it up and initially succeeded in throwing her opponent off balance. But the top seed heeded that wake-up call towards the business end of the set and broke back to seal it. The Pole, who began her 61st week at the top of the WTA rankings and is the favorite in Paris, snatched another break at the start of the second set with a thundering cross-court forehand winner and never looked back. She made amends for a first set wobble with a bagel. And that's it from us, wrapping up our bulletin with a reminder of our top story today. MSPO certification scheme constantly evolving, improving and revised. Do join us again tonight for Malaysia Tonight at 8:30 p.m. on saluran Berita RTM, RTM Clicks website and mobile app. Till then, Malaysia, I'm Brendan Lepol. Malaysia Madani, tekad perpaduan penuhi harapan.